Good morning, everyone. New day, fresh start. It is April 15th, 2026. Welcome to the Pitbull Traders Morning Game Plan. I'm your host, Manny. The purpose of this show is simple: live futures trading, real time technical analysis, and actionable trade setups, all with a focus on mindset and disciplined execution. So every morning we'll come in with one goal: to build out the structure before the open, so we're operating in alignment with the dominant forces, not guessing, not chasing. All right, guys, so let's map it out. Starting off on our daily chart, we'll take a broad look. I mean, not too much here we can discern from this chart. It's been a lockout rally, straight up. We are now knocking on the door of all-time high up at 70.43 with ETH trading 7,007 as we speak. So pretty frothy rally off the 63.53 low. Let's take a look at the hourly chart and see if there's anything we can gain from this. And it's pretty straightforward, right, guys? So we had these lower highs, lower highs, lower highs that all have been taken out. And there's not much you can say here, discern, right? It's just been a straight lockout rally, straight to the highs. Overnight action over the if we look at the last 2 days, we've had nothing but consolidation overnight, bull flag breakouts. Right? Bull flag breakout is what we should expect today. Let's take a look at the overnight inventory. So obviously coming into this morning, our overnight inventory is net neutral, with a majority of the price action happening above the settlement, with very little to go below the settlement. All right, so coming into today, what could we expect? So with all the inventory being more over the last 48, 72 hours, obviously most people are looking for, searching for a pullback, and it seems that there are just more people jumping on breakouts, right? So that's typically what you want to see on a strong rally is, no pullbacks. It's kind of a lockout kind of movement where people are, instead of buying dips, those dips are not materializing and people are just buying breakouts and adding to their positions. I think that's what we're seeing here. Just dialing back to our hourly chart. So the first pivot of note would be over at the 68. 68.85 to 68.90 level. You can see it marked right here on the center chart. That was the high prior to the gap down on the bad news of the close of the Strait of Hormuz. That pivot was overcome that very next day in what turned out to be an almost 150 or 160 point rally in the span of 24 hours, 18 hours. So I think it's pretty simple, guys. We're going to stay with the dominant forces. We're going to try to operate with the trend. Okay, so coming into this morning, we're gonna take note of the daily open. As soon as we get that opening print, we'll take note of that, and we'll use that as kind of our fulcrum for the day ahead. So first, let's discuss if we open and get a gap and immediately see some selling action or some profit taking, what could we expect? So if we open where we are currently, 7,007, and price comes back down, we could expect there to be some type of bounce or momentary or slight movement or reaction at the settlement. Yesterday's settle is 7,475. Just below that is the Globex open at 7,004. Yesterday's volume point of control comes in at 7,001 half. So on any move lower that gets below the settlement, gets below volume point of control, and shows acceptance below the volume point of control, then we should be looking at, it might produce a scalp where we could sell a pullback into the settlement, into this band here at 7,004, 7,005, which is settlement and the Globex open, and then possibly for a move down to the overnight low. Okay, and the only reason why I'm advocating, where I think that that setup makes sense, is just simply because they're of the distance from where we'd be at, where the entry would be to where the exit would be. So if settlement and the open hold on resistance and shows acceptance, so we start to build some time here where we kind of knock on this twice and then get a move down, well, then there's, we always try to frame our setups with the idea of, let's make sure that if we're going to put risk on, that risk is worth the reward. And so that setup would kind of would lay out at least a 10-point target. And I think that makes the risk of, say, if you have an entry at 7,000 and you're risking 5, where you're wrong above the settlement and you're looking for a test of the overnight low, well, you're risking 5 to make 10, and the math just works. Okay, so if we get the move down to overnight low, I think we have to be on alert for what? For a look below and fail. So say price breaches the overnight low, wicks. So say we come down and we put in some type of a candle like this. Where we have our wick down below, and price starts to show some acceptance back within the overnight range, and we can look for long ideas that will get us in that 69.92 to 95 area. And our first target then becomes yesterday's point of control, which is 7,001 half. And then for a move possibly in a runner up to the settlement at 7,004, and then maybe even a test of yesterday's high. Say we open here, and as we can expect, which was much of what we saw yesterday, price opens up. We have this bull flag consolidation overnight, this is a hallmark of a strong market, right? Where the market rallies all day long, and then the overnight session, we just get like this consolidation at the highs. I think the only way to interpret that is a strong market. It's just consolidating form, and we get this bull flag type structure, which we can see here. Oops, wrong marker. All right, so this is our pole, and then we have our flag here. All right, so say that we open here in the upper portion of yesterday's distribution. The ideal setup that I'll be looking for is simply a continuation long. So we open here, the price kind of moves higher, test the overnight high, right? We get some consolidation. Maybe we get a pullback in to trap some bears looking for a look above and fail of the overnight high. And then we can get a resumption of the trend for a long trade to the upside. So be mindful of this, of the upper portion, where we kind of have the upper portion of this distribution. I think that lines up really well with the Globex value area high. Let's just take a look at that. Okay, so the overnight session value area high comes in at 7,010. It's pretty easy to see it on this chart here. You can, if you're just looking at the candle bodies and the wicks, right? So if we get an open and prices dips below, volume point of control, the settlement immediately trades right back through the open to the upside, then we can look for yesterday's high, 7,008 as support. And we can look for acceptance between in that 7,008 to 7,010 band. And from there, we can target the overnight high, which would have a 5 to 10 point yield. And that kind of makes the trade worth it. Not only that, but we would be in alignment with the dominant trend. So always trying to operate with the dominant forces. It makes things easier. All right, so that kind of covers the upside. So say that we get a choppy open and we're just oscillating back and forth in here. Any type of consolidation here with spikes down that wick and go higher. Let's not get confused by that. You know, it probably is just price settling out. But let's not get confused by any of that. I think we have to remain bullish. So even if we get a break of the overnight low, you still have to keep a bullish lean here. The market looks like it's doing a, cruise missile for the all-time highs, right? It's just dead set on that all-time high. We're knocking on it just as we speak. And we've seen this before, right? With these kind of lockout rallies where price just continues to rally. Everyone starts looking for a pullback and it just never materializes. And the one thing that we want to make sure that we're mindful of is, it can be very expensive if we start thinking about, hey, we've come too far too fast, right? There's more to be gained with just staying with the dominant trend than to start assuming that we know how far the market, what potential the market has, right? So I don't think that even the smartest or the brightest economist can tell us with any credibility whether a move has gone too far, too fast. Do we look stretched up here? Sure. Yeah. I mean, look at our RSI. Our 14 period, the slower moving RSI is just knocking on that oversold area up at 70, but our quicker moving RSI is just hovering at the highs. While a lot of people assume that, a high RSI, like we're knocking up here, that would be indicative of a pullback. There's a reason why I have that, the high RSI, I have a high RSI as a bright green on my chart, low RSI as a red, right? Typically you see the opposite. But an RSI that's hanging out above 60, above 70, that is that can only be interpreted as a bullish outcome, a strong market, and stay dip minded, right? Be a buyer on dips. We saw that yesterday afternoon when we had the pull back into the 230 low. We knocked around for a little bit. Market came back down, tested it, formed a higher low by a point or two, and it was just off to the races. Okay. So again, I think continuation long above the overnight value area high, 7,010, 7,008 to 7,010 is probably the best trade for today. We are looking for, well, not the best trade, but one trade idea. And, being that we're looking for that early high, I put out in the pit our timing guide for today's intraday swings. It being a cycle day 3, S1H day, we are anticipating an early high into that 10:15 to 10:45 mark. All right, so it's 9:15 here. Again, let's just be mindful of that. Let's kind of focus on that continuation long above the overnight high, a resumption of the trend from further upside, and a knock on 7,043, which is the all-time high. And wouldn't it be great, guys, right? I every time we Every time we come up to these all-time highs, the number one thing as a trader that I'm always trying to analyze for myself and is that, I've been looking at charts for such a long time. When we get to these all-time highs, guys, I always tell myself that I want to be the trader that was long into those highs, right? Because that, in hindsight, that would tell me that I wasn't, looking for something that wasn't there, that I was staying with the trend, and that obviously I was on the right side of things. All right, so that covers the morning. I don't know if you guys have any questions, put them in chat. But that's how we're going to look at it. For one programming note, we're being joined today by David Dubay. He's coming on here shortly to give us his take on things and the PTG methodology. Another programming note is that we're working on a lot of things as we continue to build out the show, as we continue to try to add value to you guys who are tuning in every day. We're soon going to have a medium change here where we're gonna kind of flip most of our viewers are watching from our private chat in the pit, but we're gonna try to open another door for more viewers. For you guys that are watching on YouTube, we're going to open up the chat comments, and we're going to start combining both rooms for the morning game plan. We're going to have is our loyal viewers and listeners who are in the pit, who are participating all day long. We're going to have them combined kind of with our YouTube viewers, and kind of and the hope there is to just expand the audience a little bit. So, and if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like button, show us some love, hit that subscribe button if you're interested in watching. We're coming on every day, Monday through Friday, for the morning game plan from 9 to 11. So stay tuned for that. I just forgot to mention this morning. Obviously, today is the dreaded April 15th, tax day. I know I got over the course of the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 days, I've been sending my accountant all the statements and all the stuff. I hate this time of the year, obviously. But it's also a good time to recognize, for me, it represents a time where I get to see, what exactly the trading operations yielded. Did I hit my mark? And what can I do to improve that? And it's also the first time that I get to kind of augment or change my goals for the upcoming year. When you see those 1099s from your broker, that's kind of where the rubber meets the road. And it's a good time to see, how you performed, make any changes, have some time of self-reflection. So don't forget to file your taxes. For you guys doing the corporate taxes, remember that deadline came and went. I'm pretty sure that deadline was in March. I had to file there also. So just give you that heads up. And let me check on David. I know he's going to be joining us at some point today. I was expecting him at 9:15. Great. All right. Yep. David's just wrapping up. He's going to be in here in a minute. So I think that covers everything that we have this morning. Also, guys, okay, great. Thanks, David. Remember, we have this Friday is OPEX. This Friday is options expiry. So Typically, it's crappy trade. It's not very good trading on OpEx. I think we all know that's great day to if you're at your desk to work on other things, maybe review your performance, or maybe just leave the desk early and go out, have lunch, spend some time with your friends and family, or get other work done. Great day to clean the office, clean off your desk.
Andy, good morning. Can you hear me?
Hey, good morning, David.
All right, good. All right,
Thank you for joining us.
yeah, great to be here. I just started up in our room, and so I really haven't even started my morning thing. I did hear yours, and it was what was interesting. I said, "Am I listening to myself?" There was many things that you said. I'm saying, "Wait a minute, right? Sounds like me."
I
No, it was
learned
all
from learned from the best.
it was all good. It was all good. So,
Nice, nice.
yeah, I'm not going to rehash anything what you had already said, but I will just, mention regarding the 3-day cycle which we follow. And so, in terms of that, my screen should be visible now in the pit room as well. Yeah, it looks like it is. Um, so again, today's 3 days cycle day 3, and we were just mentioning that this cycle I refer to it as a super cycle, and how that defined is essentially anything over 150% of the normal 3-day range over a 20 cycle average. And again, that's kind of my definition, not George Taylor's, but it works pretty well. So the last time we had a dual super cycle back to back was back in November 2025, and again that period was really strong. So with all that's happening overseas, everybody knows the deal there. Uh, One thing that I've been talking about over the past couple days is what I refer to as the shock absorber effect. And what that means is when there's an initial kind of shock to the market system, volatility spikes, ranges expand, and then as the news and information gets filtered, and then people kind of calm down and understand, the potential read through uh, in a positive way, then the oscillations in the market tend to, just like a shock absorber, right, get less and less, and the impact of news almost becomes negligible. And then at some point, the market then discounts all the negative news and then actually starts looking forward, which is the markets are usually a forward-looking mechanism, anyways. And then the market reverses even on negative news, right? So that's kind of if you take a look at the oscillations in the market since the initial conflict began, and then where we are now, just like for instance Sunday night where we had no deal gaps down, it recovered real fast, and then of course the market's been on a tear since. Right. So essentially, the market's looking past any further war stuff or conflict, and they're looking for resolutions, and they all get bullish on that. So you kind of like a shock absorber effect. The oscillations get are so cycle day 3. So I think you were mentioning, bull flags and such, and yeah, exactly. We had this move up, sideways, consolidation, which is essentially is a form of a bull flag, then another leg up, and where we are currently, another kind of sideways consolidation. Again, kind of a bull flag. But what's interesting is, kind of this swing here and this swing here are not exact, but they are similar. And so I kind of refer to that as symmetry, similarity or likeness in swings. So at this point, kind of how from our vantage point, right? Again, that's NQ I'm looking at, but even still here on the ES, the swing, right, consolidation. And if for those that are trading the NQ, again, most of the time we talk about the ES, but essentially just transpose that into the NQ world in terms of pricing and so forth. But the structures are all going to be very very similar anyway. So the analysis is equally valid. So, anyways, the idea of this swing up here, consolidation, another swing up, consolidation, similarity of likeness and swing, right? So again, I I have not seen any real uh, sell down. And you got portfolio managers out there that are they've probably been underweighted because of the conflict or waiting and so forth, and now everybody's kind of the old FOMO, right? Seeing the market act. So at this stage, yes, reversals and some pullbacks, are certainly on the table as a scenario. But again, where would we need to see that begin? Somewhere around the 90s, 80s area. I would, below this, if market can sustain some sort of a move back down, failure to reclaim, then we can get some sort of a pullback. But again, the way the momentum is currently entrenched right now, again, although we're always on, guard looking for reversals, again, we also need to be mindful of the current and structure, and of course, that still continues to uh, tell us that market's not ready to go down yet, at least significantly. Though any pullback can happen, but again, I still think there's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines waiting for buy the F and dip scenario. So we'll have to see how that goes. It is since it's a while since it's a cycle day 3 and all the targets are, based upon the cycle parameters is exceeded, we refer to kind of the cycle day 3 as a wild card day, right? Again, that's my term, but typically where the market could just continue on its pathway, I don't know, higher, and if that does occur, of course, we have some we got a block of targets up here based upon cycle structure and such. And but at the same time, if it wants to do a reversal, first indication is going to be if we get below these 80s, 90s, right in this area here. And then, at that point, there is some high volume nodes on the way down that prices could react from should it get there, should it retrace lower, and buyers look to re-engage. But again, that's just a scenario, and we'd have to see evidence of that unfold, as the day unfolds as well. And we'll also just lastly, this week we have, and again, I'm not an options expert here by any stretch, but just to keep in mind, we have options expiration. I think we have VIX expiration this morning, do we not? All right, Wednesday. I think VIX expires today, so I don't know what the read through of that is. That's a little bit above my pay grade, but just something to keep in mind for any of the um, action in the market. But as Manny said in his presentation earlier, stay in alignment, with the dominant force. Don't fight it. Don't try to be shorting strength, etc. It's not a good combination. So that's where we kind of, you know, uh, just follow our signals, as they develop and take, one trade at a time. So that's where we stand. All right, let's hear
All
the
right.
market opening. Dingity ding ding. I hear the bell go off on your side.
Yeah, there it is. All right. So let's just get that
You know,
opening print up in. Oh, off to the races. So just you guys see there, I had this long trade on from the overnight session. Uh I actually had some so my support area coming in from the overnight session, I had a limit order at 69.94. And so yeah, here I'll show you what that why I this is a trick trade, guys, that I've used quite a bit. You might want to add it to your arsenal. So look, this is what I did. And when we fall into these like bull flag, these strong consolidations, right? I'll take the fair value gap from the prior day. So every trend day has one good pullback. We saw that here, right? That pullback, we saw that right here. That pullback tends to the next day, especially in the overnight session, that tends to act as a support, right? So you can see here, it came in at 69. I had it pinned at 69.94. It went down to 69.92. So a little bit of heat on that one. and and it launched. And then what happened was on the news bump earlier, I had the scales out and I got out most of it on this spike higher. But I also had some micros laid in there, and I still have 5 of those. One other thing I want to point out, guys. So, like David astutely pointed out about what we would be looking for if in case we get gobsmacked and we see some signs, it's the unexpected weakness. What I do want to point out is part of yesterday's structure. We left tons of single prints, right? So single prints starting at 69.83 down to 69.79, and then we have another set from 69.67 down to 69.61. So look for those to be inflection points on any weakness if seen today. All right, and we're approaching that overnight high. I think we just tagged it. Let's get a quick read on the internals. So opening up here, positive, obviously. NYSE's 1.8 to 1 positive. NASDAQ 2.5 to 1 positive. And the Russell traded hit its overnight high. NASDAQ has fell a little bit short. And let's see where the VIX is. Yeah, the VIX is flat, with, kind of what you would expect here. Is that right? Okay. No, the VIX is down 3%. That's what that is. All right. So again, looking for that continuation long above the overnight high. So I wanted to show you something here, but I know that, the open can be a bit, people like to dial into the open, but I want to show you guys something here that happened on the last dip, right? See if I can frame this out here. Can I get it into this chart? No. Where is it? Okay, it's back here. So you can see here that on this rally, guys, you can see here how many bull flags. I noted these. This was back 2025, where the market was on one of these tears. You can see we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bull flags that broke out in this one impulsive move higher. It's always good to keep, references and charts and journals. I can't advocate enough for that. I tend to keep lots of notes. It helps me kind of guides my trading. So I highly recommend that as well. Approaching the overnight high here, so look out for a continuation long trade above there. Let me get my opening print. Thus far, we have that opening drive kind of look, guys and gals. 70.14 quarter is our opening print. Everything seems pretty, no surprises here is what I kind of want to point out. So here we go. Price is above now. Testing right back below. Just working on getting my ATAs here properly configured. Great thing about the PTG ATAs is you can kind of change them around, switch up your risk parameters for the context of the day. If you haven't checked those out, please do. Kind of I messed up here in that I don't have. So this trade, it wasn't an ATA. That's what I love about the ATAs and the algorithm is that they kind of, it's kind of like no hands type of trade scenario. Let's see what this one's doing. Oh, this one's nice. Yep, 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 yep. Yep. Getting that continuation move here.
Hey, Manny, we good?
We are, sir. Yes, we are.
What I was just mentioning in the other room, our chart is price have extended up what we call the D level area here on the left side chart. That was one of our initial targets this morning coming in. And then the next target there based upon cycle would be 23, and then up 29 to 30. Those are the next objectives based upon our 3-day cycle patterns.
All right, guys, got that continuation move here. Let me just bring this out here. Dang it. Seeing follow through on the continuation long above the overnight high. When you get up here, it's just like where the chart, it's just, all you see is blue skies, right? Nothing but blue skies ahead. Targets are arbitrary, guys. Just take your targets as your system dictates, right? I highly recommend everyone have a set plan for their targets. My system is just I've always designed my entries built upon me getting to a 5 and 10 point target. So first scale is 5 points, second scale is 10, and then I design my risk parameters around that, right? So and then my risk parameters are typically, so say I'm risking 10 points on a trade, and I'm a 3-contract trader. That's going to be 30 points of risk on per trade. So typically what you want to do is have that. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I have that reduced by more than half on my first 2 scales. So I take 15 points out initially. So my win rate needs to be a little bit higher in order to make the math work out, in order for the system to be profitable. But design make sure you put some thought into how you're scaling into and scaling out of your trades. I'm looking for that 10-point target on this one here. It's a small trade. It's just the one lot, because I have these other ones. I have these other ones laid out. I also have this other. I'm expecting to have some good movement from the CCI crossover method today. So yeah, there was a time when I was, where I was attacking the market, right? 2024, I would not take a position unless it was like 5. I was trading 5s and 10s, and I built up to that. It wasn't just I decided to go in at 5. I was typically a 2 or 3 two or three initiating order trade, but the markets were so bullish and I was doing so well. And I'm really glad that I leveled up that year because I had a great year, a banner year. Uh, and I remember thinking, there's just no reason for me to take a trade unless I'm going in for five contracts. Well, that changed. I ended up reducing that and adjusting just as the market dictated. So, all right. So currently our high is 70.2475. We saw good continuation off of the overnight high, just as we outlined in the morning prep. All right, right back down to test the overnight high. So what we don't want to see here is for price to get back into the overnight range and find acceptance and look out for a lower high. All right, right back into range, coming down. All right, so we got through that overnight high at 70.17, and now we're right back down into 70.14. Tighten up, be cautious. That's a pretty big rejection up there, guys. So heads up on that. Let's see if the bulls if that's a look above and fail. We'll need just to see if we get a bounce and a lower high. Oh, yep. Yeah, pretty strong move off the highs here, guys. So let's see if they let's see, again, we came right looked above the overnight high, price came right back in. I got stopped out of those micros, and that one lot I closed it out at about 2 points, as you guys saw. I just didn't like how fast we were coming back in, and we're also looking for that early morning high today. Furthermore, at the high, let me just verify that and make sure I'm on the right side of this. Okay, that's right. So heads up, like I know this looks kind of wicked, but I again got to stay bullish here, guys. Buy the dip. I mean that that's what I'm focused on. Again, we're here. I'm here to just kind of talk through the narrative, but I'm not giving any specific trade recommendations. Just want to be clear about that. I'll show you what I'm doing. All right, so it seems that there's breaking news. The U.S. and Iran have agreed in principle to meet, but have not decided on the date and venue. So, headline minefield out there. Everyone, be careful. Quick read on the internals. We have NYSE 1.5 to 1 positive, NASDAQ 1.9 to 1 positive. Let's take a look at our core sector list now that the market's open, has been open for a bit. Let's take a look at the VIX. Let's run through our stick to the process. All right, so so look, early read here on the sector list. Come on, paint, baby. Okay, so here we have three sectors green versus 8 sectors red. We can see here, guys, that our weighted AD is negative. It's a little bit early to get a really good read on that. But yeah, I mean, no, it's almost 10 o'clock. That's keeping. I'm going to keep an eye on this for us. Going to watch that closely here. So we made a high of 70.24. Okay. That doesn't make sense. Hang on a second. 70, 24, 75. Okay. Yep. And then let's see. The VIX opened gap down. It's now above its first 5 minute range. Heads up, guys! In 10 minutes here, just about 9 minutes, we're there's news coming out on the wire, so we're going to get NAHB housing index. Not too big of a market mover, especially with the given environment that we're in, but um, just be on alert for that. So, all right, here we go. Oh wait, it's David. Did I? David? David, was I
Yes,
talking
sir.
over you? I had
Yes,
you on
sir. I am
red.
here.
Sorry, I had you on red for a minute. I don't know how that happened. So I'm not sure if you were saying anything. I was
Well,
kind of just talking because
no,
I
I
thought
didn't
there
want
was.
to. No, I didn't want to talk over you, so I just shut my mic off.
Oh, all right, all right, all right. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, yeah, guys, we're working out the kinks here. Hopefully we're gonna, we're going to get our synergies locked in, be able to hit you guys with a good cohesive show, something. And guys, remember or God, I have to stop saying that. There were female traders out there also many. Just a heads up, if feedback is welcomed. There's no thin skin here. Drop a comment, send me a DM, whatever your medium. Um, Feedback is how we improve things around here. And if we don't listen from you guys, if you guys are not communicating to us in things that you would want to see or improvements that we could be making, if we're not hearing from you, it kind of leaves us to kind of figure it out on our own. So feel free. Gripes are welcome. Criticisms are welcome. They are, as I said, no thin skin here. I see criticism. I see criticisms as a way to improve. As a lot of you know, I'm a baseball coach, so I'm essentially constantly criticizing players. Not really, but I guess you get the tone, the idea of it. All right, so we have our A4 here short. Picked up a nice first scale on that. So we have a just based on an order flow read, guys. Based on a pure order flow read, I'm gonna. So our early range is 20. We have a 20 point, 21, 20 to 21 point range thus far. And from my read here, the high of the day or the low of the day are not in just yet. So what does that tell us? I think we can see a compressed, consolidated day here, guys. So early sign for that. We just came through the open again, formed a higher low at the Globex open, right? Price just bounced directly off that Globex open at 7,004. So just be on alert here. We might see one of those rotational type days. And, would that surprise us? That wouldn't surprise me if we had a day of two-way trade consolidation at the highs, right? That would not surprise me here after the rip we've been on. So let's just take a look at daily structure to see if there's any precedent for that.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at potentially the same MATD, right? Market of morning after trend day type rhythms. Would not be surprised to get those.
Yep, yep, that makes sense here. Especially since how many times we've already weaved through the open. Um, but yeah, look, when you see these, you see look at this rally right here, long print, right, and then followed by what? A consolidation day, right? Then a resumption of the trend, 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 and then what? A doji type consolidation day. All right, you can see that over and over again. I won't bore you with it, but yeah, it kind of. I would not be surprised here. Market has a sideways type day. We're right now, right back to the high again. Look at that, testing on the right back through the open again. Yeah, I should have bought it. I'm gonna get better at trading on stream here. I would have been all over that, looking for that AM high here. All right, so now what do we have to be on alert for? We just closed that fair value gap at 716.50, 70.1650. So let's be on alert, right, for a lower high. Or do we consolidate, show some acceptance above yesterday's high, which we've already had, and a move higher?
Again, the next level we're looking for is roughly around the 23s. If it gets back up there, retest of the high for a potential short play, a kind of a failure to push above that high on a retest. So I think today, one of those days we can do both sides. After the big trend day is up, do some consolidation back and forth. So
Absolutely.
staying flexible on that.
So now, yeah, now that we saw that, right, that kind of opens the door for. um so it's always I love to let the mornings play out, especially if I don't have like a pre-planned setup in the early morning. I like to let the morning play out. It. I don't know about you guys, but my ability to read price action improves as the day goes on. I mean, there's a reason for that, right? So you have more information, you have a better read on the context and the tone of the day. And the one way, so just to share the way that really came to light for me was with journaling, right? So I used to write the stuff down, and I started to realize, started to see this. I remember exactly where I was. I was away on vacation, and I took my journals with me because I wanted to, like, I had journaled a bunch, and I wasn't reading them. So I took them with me on vacation. I remember reading through them, and I started to realize that how many days I was starting off early in the hole. So taking early losses within the first half hour, first 45 minutes, and then I would scratch out a win for the day, or maybe break even or a small loss because I had some winners in the afternoon. And that was a light bulb moment for me, and what really solidified and gave me my patience at the start of the day. I know you guys that have been following us frequently in chat, you'll see that I'll often post an afternoon trade. That's a pretty good one. But I'm not the most active trader at the open, simply because the data tells me to be more cautious. All right. So you can see here that support buy number one on the pre-planned setups that were put out. We came in right there at that overnight open. Yep. Uh, um, if I was a little bit more alert, I would have taken that trade on the first touch, looking for the AM high. So setup number one, I just posted in the Pitbull Traders chat. Soon, guys, will be for our YouTube watchers. Soon, we'll be integrating the morning game plan chat into the YouTube chat, so that you guys don't have to read it on your screen. You can see it and you can comment and participate and communicate with the community while we have the show going on. But each morning I post uh, between 6 and 8 setups that I think are high probability areas that price will see a reaction, typically built upon around a 5 and 10 point first two scales. And we just saw a tag of that first setup number one. I post those pre-market every day at about between 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning. And that level lined up really well with the Globex Open. All right, and heads up here. So the VIX, right, went up, tested yesterday's. Was that yes? Hang on, I think that's yesterday's or last week's low. Lots of clues in the VIX, guys. Lots of clues. You'll hear me point it out. Hopefully, it improves your read of, and it's a great tool. All right, so what did we do here? What is that?
Yeah, I'm just gonna sit and wait here. I'm gonna be patient. Oh, is my audio breaking up?
Nope, you're fine here.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay, hang on a second here. I got some technical difficulties. Let me put up the other chart.
Bring back volatility. Make volatility great again.
Bear with me here, guys. I had to. I had a little bit. I hit a little bit of a snag here. A little bit of a snafu. Technical difficulties. Just trying to get that chart back up. Hang tight. Uh, One way I see to play a day like today, if you're, depending on your core skill set, right? So if you're pretty good at, if you're a more short term trader in terms of uh, targets and stops, and you like to keep your stops really close to the chest, and therefore, your profit targets are correlated with that approach. Today could be a good day for you to fade the edges. There's I tend to have a preference to prefer to stay with the trend. Uh, However, and if that's the approach, if that's one approach that you want to use, also, I prefer to be a buyer of the dips on days like today. So just scalp the dips instead of scalping the rips. Obviously, that's going to limit your it's going to limit your opportunities, but it's trading. It's not a video game.
Hey guys in the pit, how's my audio now? Is it still breaking up?
Yep, nope, you're good.
How about Jim and Mag? Does sound okay there? Much better? Okay. Thanks. I just reset the room.
I have to change my data connection here on Ninja. I don't know, I hit a snag. Let me just go back and connect the other one now.
Yeah, the options guys actually spot gamma, right? I call those the gamma guys. Um, they are, I guess, their implied volatility move, I guess for today, is exceedingly dampened versus previous days. They're looking for about maybe 0.58% of a move today. So, they're expecting some dampening also, the volatility move. So it should be of no surprise. I think after a big, you know, 2, 3 day run that, we consolidate. So should not be surprised to anybody.
Nope, nope. I think that makes a lot of sense here.
As the Navy SEALs would say, the only easy day was yesterday. Right. So, you had it easy, you had good runs. I hope, everybody caught a piece of those runs. And, today may be a little bit tougher. So
All right, so got that one working. Let's check this one now. Yep. Hmm. Okay, let's go remove. Let's go add. Sweet. Oh. Uh-huh. That's wild. That that's pretty cool. Holy crap. What the hell happened to this? Yeah. WTF. Yeah, I think tapered expectations is has to be considered today. Just all right. Let's see if this works. Thanks for bearing with me here, guys. I hit a little bit of a snafu here, but I think I'm good. I think I'm good to go now. We'll see. Um, nope. Oh crap. Let's see what this kid wants. All right. Let's go, you little bi. There we go. Okay, right back up to highs, guys. Remember, we kind of pointed out. I didn't think the highs were in for the day. So let's watch out for a retest there. Um, I also don't think the lows are in, so take that with a grain of salt. So, sorry, guys, just bear with me here. I'm just trying to get my ducks in a row. Oh man, that sucks. All right, so let me see. What's the best approach to fix that? Hey guys, once again, for all the people watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and also drop a comment. Let us know what you like, what you dislike, how we can improve the show for you guys. We'd love to hear from you. Technical glitches. All right, so you can see that A4 just triggered in the center upper center screen, the chart in the center on the top. See what we get out of that. Let's say Lithia Jim says that may bring a higher high there. It has done that capture. Took by six. Okay. All right, yeah, we just one tick the high, right? One tick the high, 20 contracts traded, came off there, and let's see if there's some follow through here. Hopefully not. uh Hopefully not, but we'll see. I have I have I have I have dogs in on both sides of this. So not sure how I feel about it either way. But yeah, I'm gonna actually close this one. Let me just trail it instead.
Yeah, Manny, we got the 84 that's on our screens, that top left, that have scaled out. So I'm running a stop trail on that. And we just triggered the short side, as we were pointing out earlier,
Yep.
on a retest of this high. So yeah, we got two dogs on the hunt.
Yeah. Yep. I'm on both sides of this as well. Uh, the hardest thing about point and figure trade, point and click trading, and also running algorithms is to just it's to stay out of the way. Because oftentimes you can find yourself with a long and a short on both sides of it. And there was a time where I would have a long trade on and have a short trade on. My own bias would take over, and I would close the one that was going against my bias, right? And so what I learned through much turmoil was to stay out of the way, let the strategy play out. So I have a hard rule: I won't touch it. Not touching, not touching a trade is not as easy as what it sounds. I'm sure you guys all know that. We've all been through that. Yep. Hey guys, heads up at 12 o'clock noon, we have our latest addition to the Mr. Top Step Pitbull Trader Orbit. We have Danny and Lauren coming on at 12 noon. So make sure you hit the notify button if you're on YouTube or if you're in the pit. Make sure you tune in for that. Good stuff on markets and mindset. I think you guys are going to want to hear what they have to say. Both of them bring a wealth of knowledge to the team. Both of them are experienced, seasoned traders. I believe uh, their history goes back to the trading pits and so on, and just a ton of experience trading markets. And they also come with that fresh, you know, female perspective that we all need and love, need and like, I would say. Yep. So here we are again, right back up to the high. So glad I didn't close that one out. Staying out of the way of it. Right back to the high. Knocking on that 70 quarter 50 high. Hey, here's another tell about the day we're seeing here. Check out here's our tick chart for the day. Our cumulative tick is essentially flat, but our high tick of the day has been 362. Our low tick has been negative 484. I mean, that's just there's nothing there. That's just more chop, more range bound action. Quick read on the internals: 1.5 to not 1.6 to 1 positive on the nice C, 2 to 1 positive on the Nasdaq. Our ticks are flat, guys. The VIX is making new lows. Heads up. So the VIX took out its first 5-minute low, and it's trending lower. Uh, Oil is kind of flat, right? It seems like it's flagging here at that between that 90-92 level. So yeah, look out for that. I'd like to see a break. I mean, in order for ES to rally here, I think we need to see a break. Let's blow that up a little bit here and see what this looks like on a higher time frame. Yeah, I want to pull this. Let me take a look at this crude chart. Punch it up in my favorite time frame, that 2 hour chart. I don't know why I like the 2 hour chart so much.
Bulls remain large and in charge, it seems. New highs.
Looking like crude is So crude is definitely firmly below all of its moving averages, but I'm not sure that you can discern much from that because one headline and it's right back up to the upside. But if I'm looking at this just purely from a chart perspective, purely from a pattern perspective, let me just take a deeper look at this. Give me a second here, guys. Hang tight, hang tight, hang tight. See if I can see what I can see if this crude chart can give me any type of an edge on the equities. Yeah, I want to do that. Get that. Um, what do I do with that? So let me ask you guys a question here. I think we need to ask this question. I just it just dawned upon me. So what's the over under? Are we going to tag the all-time high 70-43 today? What's the over under on that, huh? What do you guys think? The first thing that stands out to me on this crude chart is this, right? So wait, okay, and we can see that right there, right? We have that kind of like that failed head and shoulders pattern that now failed right below um, this low here, testing that 50% retracement where we kind of knocked around for a few years. Yeah, I just don't think that there's much to read into it. That neckline right there that comes in at 93 to 95 was probably more relevant before the news, for the war. I would say I have to say that on crude. So we have this 93 area that's going to we need to keep an eye on as resistance. Anything below that gets into or below, you know, 89, 89, 90. Let me see what that low. What is that low exactly? The low is like 90. Oh, no. The low is 90, 89.97. Right? So just about $90. We get below there, then we start to eat into this tail, and that could easily see a move right back down to 87. So that's an interesting look there. So keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for that 90 level. But from a purely, hey, heads up, we have fib resistance here, so watch that 70-31. But back to crude, guys, just from a I'm a technician. I do technical analysis is how I see things, and just basically from there, I one look at that chart, and it's not hard to tell that we've switched from buy the dips to sell the rips there. So just keep an eye out for that. No, I changed that. Hang on. I got to put the right account number in there. Don't have the right account number in there. I think the A4 is going to do good today. I thought that 810 would have done better. So what's the over under? Magister says looks like an ABC correction in crude to me. Yeah, you know what? That's a good eye. That's another way of reading it, right? Sure, I can see that. Um, let's see. Right. So you have your frame it out for the folks watching it on the tube. So what Magister, who's in our Pitbull Traders chat room, pointed out very astutely pointed out, like we have a kind of an ABC type pattern here, right? It's not hard to see A, B, and then this is the completion of C, and let's measure that out with some fibs and kind of stick to our process here of informed decision and good chart analysis. Let's just see what we can see. What would be the target on this move? Nice. Great call there. All right. So you can see that our 1-to-1 target from the A down to B up would be down at 79. That might be a bit of a stretch, but we did hit the halfway target there at 92.55. Um, and let's see, let's do a little bit further framing of this. That looks like a halfback move to me. Yep. Crude came, so crude traded the halfback of the move down, and now it's getting its extension lower. Ultimate target there would be 79. I have a hard time believing it would get down there without any type of resolution to the Iran conflict, but that would be thinking. Let's not think too much. Yep, Jim Mayo points out the amount of puts back on the lows and hedging is killing. Yeah, skew remains bullish here, so you have to be a buyer of dips if you're monitoring just strictly from a flows perspective. Just to read there, skew is definitely bullish. Running really late in here. Let's see what is the drag. I will take your pick, Manny. You have like 15 programs running right now. It's hard to gain any follow through on these kind of days. It's to think base hits, small hits, ins and outs. Yeah, Magister in the Pitbull Traders chat says if you assume the April 7th high in crude is the actual high, but a failure high relative to the spike high in March, then the ABC could already be completed. Yep. I think once you hit that 50% of the A move, you can call it completed, right? That frames it. The technical term would be for that would be like a truncated C, where it doesn't make a new low relative. The C low doesn't make a new low. Hang on, let me just bring it up. So let me show it to folks at home. So what I'm talking about here is a truncated ABC move where you get the A down, B up, and then the C down move doesn't necessarily take out the A low. That is an ABC. That is a completed ABC move, though. So a truncated C would see a higher low relative to the A low, but that would be a completed pattern. Not much to see here, guys. Not much to see. I would highly recommend that, if you're that you trade smaller today. That just I don't think that today's a day where we want to be attacking this, as David said. There's just not much going on. You can tell the market is tepid. It's going two ways, but it has a choppy tilt, chop higher kind of skew to it. So be cautious out there.
Yeah, Manny agreed. I was just saying in the other room that it's a low comment day for me, just kind of a slow grind. Um, so we're just kind of keeping it tight on our end over here. Had a couple few good trades, and it's sometimes maybe that's just all we need, and then we stand aside after that. Or
Yep.
just
Yeah.
stay on a little bit more of the cautious side.
So heads up here on our clock study, we were looking for a high, an early high, somewhere in between 10:15 and 10:45. Seems that that's formulating right here now. Um, and it came in later than expected. I thought we had it at the early high, but no, price ripped a little bit higher. Um, and so now what we can anticipate and what I will be looking for, let me go over that here. Man, for some reason, there's something bogging down my machine right now. I can't figure out what it is. All right, so yeah, just quick read on our time-based pivots. So we have the AM high. Oh shit, I'm on the wrong chart. Let's switch this one out. Go to ES. Let's take a look at this on a 5 minute so we can see the pivots a little clearer. Okay. So right back up to the high. So we have our high right here, looking for a low pivot now between between 11 and 12 p.m. So look out for that. Again, I just think that the best way to play this, I took a shiner on that uh, on that short from the highs, and I just barely missed it. That happens. We have to stay positive. I think we have to stay long minded. If there's a breakout, I think it comes on the upside. There's something crushing my PC though. Here, it's like so late. I can't figure it out yet. Let me just close out some of these. Yep, straight chat. Okay. Nothing to see here on the internals, guys. Still, 1.9 to 1 positive on the NYSE, 2 to 1 positive on the NASDAQ. Our ticks are just screaming um, two-way trade today. All of our ticks have been contained between +5 and -500. So, So one thing I'm doing, guys, just being mindful of the trend today. As you can see, I just switched out most of my instruments back down to MES. I want to try. I want the goal there is to protect the profit that I have from the earlier trades and participate in the movement if it develops. Be responsible about my trading. Right, take trades that make sense, that follow a chain of logic, but also respecting risk and respecting the read on the context of the day. So not every day, the days to attack this market were, the last 2 days, right? And if you didn't pick up on it on Monday, then you definitely had an opportunity yesterday to participate in it. But nothing here is telling me that we should attack this. We've been, a couple of good moves off the lows. We have to stay dip minded, buyers on dips, but also mindful of where we are. I think we're just we're it's like a cruise missile targeted at that 70.43 high. I don't know. For some reason, I don't think we'll hit it today, and I don't know if that's wrong. That's why I'm trying to get some feedback from chat. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think we'll hit it today or not? What do you guys think? Is 70.43 in store?
Well, Manny, I got 70-41-50 as a target. So
At the target,
that's a match to your
and
43.
that's a point and a half away from the
Yeah. Anything
from
within 5 points of a level, I consider it a match.
same thing. That's I frame everything in 5 point bands. I think it just makes sense. So if you get within that 5 points and you hit it, that's target achieved for me. But look, every time price comes up, so yeah. This is I think this is interesting to point out, right? So every time price dips, there's a rapid reaction to it, right? Boom, gets it down to the low, hangs out there for under a minute, and immediately up to the upside. However, on the upside, when we reach the highs, it kind of peters out. And that's what we're seeing here again. That's what we just saw at the earlier high at around 950, 1050. My approach is going to be all right. So kind of with that read of context, read on the day. I certainly don't want to try to start picking tops. I already tried to do that. Not picking tops, so to say, but taking a valid setup from a high, right? Looking for that range bound day. I tried that once, it didn't work. I'm staying away from that. So now I'm going to shift my focus of references here to frame our risk, right? So we could use that 70-20 low from our risk on any long trades. I want to be long into new all time. I've been long several times into new all time highs. So I'm pretty proud about that. um, and I'd love to be long into a new all time high this time. Also, not every all time high, but m- more than a more than a handful. As we were chopping them back and forth, last year, making new all time highs. I was long into a bunch of those in runners. Oh no. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I just had to laugh at something. I bet you there's, I bet you there's quite a few people. So the thing is, like, I get the war and everything. I get that the context. If you watch the news, it's kind of bearish, right? But when you look at the price charts, that's not what we're seeing. All right, marginal new high and a pullback. Couple sell programs going off. Every time we get to these like all-time high scenarios is when I'm laughing because I just read an X post, and gosh, it never fails. It seems like when we get to right near all-time highs, the bears get the loudest. It's like I don't get it at all. I just don't get it. It's like price is telling us, how many billions of dollars it took to get ES from 63.53 up to 7,000. And it's like to say that, it's too high. That's a you're casting a vote against all that money. I don't know. I'm going to side with that side. Like, follow the charts. They're telling you what's what. Don't overthink it. Stay a buyer of dips. Yep, absolutely. So Reverie posted in the room, Manny, it's people pissed they missed the long move, so they're going to fight it by getting short. Yep, yep. We see that over and over again. And that's probably what fuels, that we all know that that's what fuels these moves. People selling it at highs, looking for, looking for something that's not there yet. I bet you also that there's a lot of, I'm just thinking, reading this post, and I'm thinking, you know, there, again, I say this with, I kind of feel bad for a lot of people because so the big decline, the gap down on Sunday based on the straight being closed, right? So, obviously there was some bearish. I'm sure that from what I'm reading, there's some bearish bets being placed. that price was going to move lower. Like, and I was initially, I came in on Monday and I shared with you guys, I was looking for that, for a B high. But once Tuesday unfolded and the strength of the rally on Monday, I tossed that argument right out the window. And we when we took out, let me show you. So my narrative completely flipped on Monday. So coming into Monday, remember I had right on this chart, right? I was looking for this B high right here. You can see I still have it on the chart. All right. I was looking for this. Oh gosh, that's terrible. So this B high, I was looking for it to be somewhere in here. Now you can see that we hit this descending trend line. The very next day we wicked above it and then closed right back below it. I thought we had a B high. The very next day, that was Friday. On Monday, we ripped to new highs and, and completely embodied the prior move. So yeah, I had to throw that argument out the window as quick as it came in. I threw it out. I pivoted and I just started buying dips on Tuesday. Stick with that. I think it'll serve you. Look, just knocking on heaven's door. Sorry, that was really really cheesy. I can't resist.
Actually, Manny, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, came in perfect. I love that song. I don't think it's fan
one,
favorite.
one of the first songs I ever learned on guitar.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Axel Manny.
Yeah. Hearing some cell programs croaking away. But I again take that with a grain of salt. Come on.
Well, Manny, I'm gonna cut out here at 11.
Yep,
Um,
yep. We're wrapping up at 11. Thanks for your contribution. They'll appreciate it. I'm sure the
yeah, we
folks
we
at
had a
home
few
do
we
too.
had a few trades on the board, nothing to write home about, right? But again, it's been good the past few days, so we can't complain.
Yep, you
Yeah,
can't.
I'm looking forward to the Danny and Lauren inaugural show here at 12 noon Eastern time, folks. So stick around. Really going to look forward to see what they have on the agenda, learning more about the agriculture sector and of course the trading mindset, which is I think important for everybody. So be sure to tune in at 12. They're on from 12 to 1:30, and this will be their inaugural um, show. So definitely tune into that.
Yep, good stuff. Yep, I'm going to be tuning into that as well. As we come into the final minute here, guys, thanks for every. Great. Yep. Thanks, David. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate the support. Yep, we're just knocking up here. Got to cut out some time for that. All right, guys. So it's 11 o'clock now. We're going to put a bow on this one today. Everyone, make sure that you tune in at 12 o'clock noon. We have Danny and Lauren coming on to give us their views on markets and mindset. Um, hang on, let me just reach out to this guy here.
All right, Manny, I'm going to take my
The
chart down,
highs.
so give
Went
you the
back to the
full
highs.
platform.
Yeah, we want to clear it up. Give Danny and Lauren an open workspace. So, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. Again, tune in. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in about 45 minutes. We're going to walk into, again, Danny and Lauren are going to be here. They're going to give us their thoughts, their ideas on markets and mindset. So, tune in for that. Uh, Taking a quick break. We'll see you in a bit. Have a good one, guys. Hope we brought some value to your trading. Again, the idea here is that we want to stay aligned, kind of walk through the technical setups of the day. The entire purpose of this show is simple. It's live futures trading, real-time technical analysis, actionable setups, all with the focus on mindset and disciplined execution. Um, don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe. Let us know how we can improve the show in any way as we start. If we continue to build this out, fan feedback is going to be crucial to how to what value we can offer. Okay. All right, guys. So see you in a short bit. I'll be back in a short while with Danny and Lauren. Take care. Bye bye.